I want to embark on a bravery mystery with everyone in this room. So could you please stand up right now if you think of yourself as brave? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I can't count, but I'd say it was about a third of you. I think the reason I'm standing here right now is because I'm somehow thought of as brave, because I rode in the world's longest, toughest horse race, and I've lived through a serious illness. But I'm here to tell you, I actually think that we outsource bravery, and we think of it as something that other people do over there. But all of us in this room have a bold mode, and all we need to do is inhabit it. Bravery is not a constant thing, it's a fragile thing that we move through and comes through us. So I'm going to tell you a bit about the race. I was 19 when I found out about the Mongol Derby. It's the world's longest, toughest horse race. It's 1,000 kilometers long, and it's an endurance race for humans, not horses. So you ride 25 different semi-wild horses in a row, navigating your way across the Mongolian steppe, which is this expansive landscape. The horses you often meet only moments before you mount them at the stations, and then they would disappear with all your belongings on their back. When I got back from that race, people would say, "Oh, God, that's extraordinary. How brave you are." I didn't know what to say. And just this weekend, it clicked for me, because it's marathon season at the moment, and in London, my friend was entering, and I heard about this, and I thought, oh, he's so brave. I could never do that. And I said, oh my God, why do we all think that bravery is a thing that other people do, and that we can't do it? And why do we use this word in this way? Because in doing so, we cut ourselves off from it, and the ability to be it, and the ability to test ourselves. It's almost like it's a way of keeping ourselves safe or something. I wrote a book about riding in this horse race, which comes out next week. And as I was writing, I didn't know really what I was trying to say, but I wanted to get into that state of being that the race put me into, that oblivion. And someone was asking me about it the other day, and they said, what's the book about? And I told them about the horse race. So what's it really about? And this person decided it was about the discovery of my bold mode and my spirit. And I was never going to see this person again. And when I left him, he said, don't be a disappointment to your own book. I thought, oh, it's a bit much for an afternoon in London. But then I thought a lot about what he was saying and why we think you have to go in a seeking culture all the way to Mongolia to ride in the Mongol Derby to be brave or discover your spirit. Why can't we reclaim bravery as an everyday word that we use in the morning when we get up? It's so brave of me because I got up when my alarm rang this morning, etc. Marathon runners aren't superhuman. They don't have a monopoly on bravery. The size of bravery does not need to be running 26 miles, wonderful though that is. I think it can be small. I think it can be quiet. I think it can be quite invisible. Definitely doesn't need to be recorded by the newspapers or have a book written about it. I've been thinking a lot about bravery also as a generic thing, because I think actually everyone in this room has a different kind of personal bravery. I've been thinking about what mine might be. Because I mistrust bravery as a word, and I thought a lot about this when I was writing the book, because it had been used with me in two very different contexts, neither of which I was sure I'd been actually brave in for me. The horse race, but also in the years after, I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's, which is a cancer of the lymphatic system, and I spent a summer on chemotherapy, and people would write cards kindly saying, you're so tough, or, oh, how brave you are. I would look at this card and think, this is so funny. Is bravery no longer a choice? Did getting cancer just become a qualification to bravery? Because I didn't choose to have this illness, I'm just living through it by necessity. In fact, I'm not particularly behaving in an admirable way. I think I spent most of that summer planning my own funeral, could not imagine the world going on without me, and so on. I thought maybe it's not what we do, but the way we do it. Because when I'd ridden in that horse race, I'd been I'm not scared, I'm fine. And I'd ride, and I don't think I cried once the whole race. No, there was one day I was lost in a flood at night with a pony who was tired, and I heard myself sobbing, and I quickly started singing Happy Birthday to the pony so I could stop crying. Happy birthday to you, I'm fine. And I think that year that I was really unwell, I'd learned to cry. I spent most of that summer crying about myself and what I thought was my impending death. And maybe for me, from my personal background, which was a certain type of Britishness, which really values being tough, certainly doesn't have much of a clue about how to say what you feel. It was probably about admitting that that was really difficult for me. Being ill was really scary. Because somewhere along the line, I think maybe we conflated bravery with stoicism, such that those people who wrote me those kind cards saying how brave you are weren't imagining me spending my days in tears. It was almost like they were using this word, bravery, to distance me, to hold me out there on a fishing rod. You so brave out there riding in Mongolia. I don't want to do that. Or, the emotional contagion that might drag someone down with you. So the culmination, I think, of my personal bravery, and in a minute I want us to all look at our own, was quite recently. I got bitten on the hip or the bum by a horse. I was competing for someone. I didn't know the horse very well. And I've drawn it quite badly to distract you from my face. Lovely mare. She put me into excruciating amounts of pain when she bit me. And in that moment, I had a choice. Like, we all have a choice in any moment, like, what to express, what to notice about ourselves. And usually I would have just been like, I'm fine, it's okay. And instead, I was like, ah! And I just screamed out over the yard. Sorry, I don't want to give you a headache. And carried on. People came over to see what funny business was going on in the stables, because I started making quite weird noises. And then I devolved into trenchant tears. I was just crying so much. I just wanted to let everything that had been happening to me elsewhere out. And I was still crying a few minutes later, down at the wash box. I was washing the horse's legs. And a lady came over, and she's known my family and the toughness, and she said to me, when she saw my tears, "You Prior-Palmers," she was talking about my family, she said, "You Prior-Palmers aren't made of much anymore, are you?" And I looked at her, and again, any year earlier, I think I would have chosen to just laugh along, because she had a smile on her face. I think it was funny. But instead, my body just spoke for me. I said to her, "I love crying." Sounds quite small, but it felt really radical for me, from where I'd come from. I didn't walk away from that moment going, like, woo, bravery. I was a bit more, I didn't notice it, I just decided it was brave for this talk. But I do really feel that it was truthful for me that perhaps for me being brave was a tenderness or an acceptance of my fragility. If bravery comes from the body, where in the body does it live? I Googled it a lot last week, but my personal conviction is it lives in the heart. And that actually bravery isn't a thing that we all need to do, or a sort of mask that we need to wear, or a thing we need to become. It's more a thing that sort of lives inside us, a little creature, and all we have to do is let it out. Like, we don't do bravery, it happens to us. I think my most visceral experience of that was on that race that I did. I spent a lot of time in silence with the horses, riding alone. And actually became really good friends with silence, sort of drew strength from it. Because I think if I'd been talking, I would have started complaining and saying, "Oh, this race is so painful. oh, I think I should drop out. Oh, I'm lost. Oh, this. But because I had no words, I just had this sort of like beehive of imagined words above me that I could just watch as quite absurd. I was able to carry on, free of any narrative of irritation or such like. I just sort of felt raw with the horse, as though I was enough as I was, which is why I love this image so much. I'm enough as I am. We live in such a seeking culture where we think we need to go and become something or do something or come and listen to someone when perhaps the ingredients are already in us and we just need to be curious. Since that race, I've come to love silence, and I love the awkwardness of it and how disarming it is, and every day I try to be in silence a little bit. And I was thinking maybe the most collectively bold thing we could all do together in this very loud culture, in all of this talking, would be to be silent together for a moment. And maybe you'll just drop into consciousness, or maybe you'll become non-human and inhabit your chair. Maybe you'll stop thinking. Maybe you'll feel that your boldness is simply existing in this weird thing we have, which is a body. I don't know what you'll find. But I think just for 20 seconds, we could all be quiet together, close our eyes, and feel a braveness or something we find difficult. It somehow amuses me still that you're still looking at me as though I have something to say. TED Talk's such an individualistic thing, but I swear it's not here. It's behind you, it's inside you somehow. And so I'd really like it if we could all finish this talk together. And perhaps, if you guys stood up, and I'm going to count to 3, and on 3, and please, I know it's really painful, but just know that your neighbor's going to be shouting to and won't be able, well, not shouting, we can do it quietly, won't be able to hear you. Just blurt out anything that comes to mind, something that makes you brave or something you find difficult, just in the spirit of curiosity or what that silence gave to you. And then we can all clap for ourselves and finish. Thank you. 1, 2, 3. I don't like cucumbers.